Hi everyone, it's Debbie. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back. If you're new here, I'm a reseller. I've been reselling for 19 years and I absolutely love it. And today I'm going to have a what sold video for you. I'm going to pick up where I left off on my last what sold video. It was September, and just do some highlights of October, November, and December. October, November, and December have been filled with a lot of traveling, friends and family, and not a lot of listing. So my sales really suffered. They declined further and further and further. I did have the hauls where I went to the Galveston and Houston area, and I did get those things listed. So that's mainly what has sold. And then a few other items that I had thrifted and shared in hauls before, so I wanted to share some of those items that had sold. So January, we have one last trip. So after about the first week of January, I will be back home and I am going to start working really hard. I'm excited to have time to just be home and list again. A lot of people say they don't like listing, and for me, I think I've done it for so long, being almost 19 and a half years, that to me, it's relaxing. It's great. It feels like a break to me to have time to sit down and list things. So I'm really looking forward to that. My last video, I mentioned that I was starting to use a new cross-listing service called Vendoo, which I love, and I can't wait to get to fully utilize it because it's been great so far. As I have been listing, I'm cross-listing to Mercari again, and I am having sales on Mercari, which is great. And I've already had a couple bundle sales on Mercari. I love that new feature. And the wonderful thing about Vendoo, I talked about before, you can use it on your phone, but by far my favorite thing so far is the sales detection and delist feature. And this feature not only detects sales on just Poshmark and eBay now, it also does on Mercari and Depop. So if you sell something and you can't get right to your phone and delist it on the other platforms, Vendoo does that for you. This way you can manage your inventory more easily and save time. So far it's been great. I'm going to continue using it. I'm excited to get a lot of listings done in January, and I will keep you posted on how it's working for me. If you would like to try out Vendoo, you can go in my description box down below and I'll have a link that you can click on so that you can try it out also. So far I am really happy with it. Okay, we are going to start on some items that came from my Galveston, Texas haul. This was a regular Goodwill store, and I had such a great haul there. I was so excited with the items that I found, and a lot of them have sold already. The first one I was so excited about, it was the briefcase that was vintage. I looked inside and there were a lot of aviation items, and so I thought this must have been a pilot's briefcase. I found the brand inside on a little manual that showed how to use the combination lock, and it was Fuserng, something like that, F-U-S-E-R-N-G, Pilot's Business Leather Briefcase Attaché Travel Combination Lock. It sold for $65 on Poshmark. My earnings were $49.02. I paid $9.99. It took 28 days to sell, and my profit was $39.03. So I was really excited about that. Not only did she buy the briefcase, but she placed 3 additional orders for books that I had listed, that I had purchased from the library book sale that I've talked about in several videos. And these were older books. They were just really beautiful, nice books. And normally I sell those things on eBay, but I thought, I'm going to put these on Poshmark and see if they'll sell. And they sold right away. The next one was the baby blanket that I found there. I titled the listing, Tiddlywinks Baby Blanket, 30 by 40 inches, green chenille, scalloped. It sold for $36. My earnings were $26.80. I paid $3.99 at Goodwill in Galveston, Texas. It took 2 months to sell, and my profit was $24.81. I had talked about, I found one other out there, and it was someone that sold a lot of baby blankets, and they had it priced really high. I think somewhere around $70, but it hadn't sold yet. So I priced mine a little bit higher, but when I had an offer come in for $36 and I would make a profit of close to $25, I thought that was great. And I had not seen any sold comps, only a listing, and that was the asking price. So I thought that was a great return on investment. The next one is another one that I probably will butcher the pronunciation. It was Lungo Larno Women's 100% Linen Dress, size 3X. Light pink Italy short sleeves. It sold for $40. My earnings were $29.02. I paid $5.99 at the Goodwill in Galveston. It took just 10 days to sell, and my profit was $23.03. And the lady was very happy. She left a great love note for me on her. My daughter Morgan also listed some of the items that I purchased at the Houston Goodwill bins, so I thought I would share a couple of her sales. She sold the KIKIT, I guess it's Kick It, snowman sweater vest, size medium. She put keywords on the title, vintage, ugly, Christmas, tree, holiday, party. Morgan sold it for $20. Her earnings were $13.02. I paid just $2.22 at that Goodwill bins in Houston. It took 1 month and 4 days to sell, and Morgan's profit was $10.80. Morgan also sold this Ariat Kirby shirt. On the title, she put women's size extra, extra large, white button front, long sleeve, western chest pockets. It sold for a gross amount of $18. Morgan received back in the bank after Poshmark fees $14.40. The cost of goods was just $1.72. Again, I purchased it at the Houston Goodwill bins. It took just 1 month and 7 days to sell, and Morgan's profit was $12.68. We will move on to eBay. I just had so few sales on Poshmark. I'm going like a week to 10 days at a time sometimes without sales on Poshmark. I haven't been listing as much. If I start listing a lot more things will sell. But if you compare eBay to Poshmark, Poshmark is considerably slower than eBay for me right now. We'll start with a couple things that sold that were not from that Galveston area, but they were from other hauls that I shared. This first one was from when I went to San Antonio, Texas, to a regular Goodwill store. I found this little espresso. I noticed that some of the comps from this brand sold really, really high. I didn't find any exactly for this espresso set, but I wanted to go ahead and pick it up, and I thought it might take a little while to sell, but that's okay. It's worth it to wait, and I'm glad that I did because it finally sold. I titled the listing NOS, which stands for New Old Stock, New Vintage Natchman UV Stars Optic Espresso set of 2 cups and 2 saucers. It sold for a gross amount of $54.72. My earnings were $36.97. I paid just $3.59 at that Goodwill in San Antonio. It took 1 year, 3 months, and 28 days to sell, and my profit was $33.38. Just a quick reminder, if you're new and not subscribed, I'd love to have you back. Just hit the subscribe button down below, and if you hit the notification bell, it will let you know when I release new videos. Next one I had to share because it was a gift from a viewer. Thank you so much, Dawn, for sending me these items. She sent a box of items to me because she's primarily a Poshmark seller, and she thought that these items would do better on eBay, and they have. Several of the items sold right away. This one took a little bit longer, but I was so excited when it sold because it was extra special because it came from Dawn. This was the Vintage Komar Women's Long Nightgown Housecoat Robe, Snap Front, Pocket. I put large or extra large question mark. It didn't have a size tag. I list things all the time without a size tag, and I just put what I think it is according to the measurements, and then also refer the potential buyers to look at the measurements, and often I'll say it is on a size 6 mannequin, and that way they can get an idea on how it fits on the mannequin also. It sold for $44.72. My earnings were $22.89. I paid $0 because Dawn so generously sent it to me. Thank you so much, Dawn. It took 16 days shy of 1 year to sell, and my profit was $22.89. I love selling vintage nightgowns and robes, and they always sell. I've never had one that has gone unsold. Some of them will take just a little bit longer to sell, but I don't mind at all waiting a year for over a $20 profit. The next one was another item that came from the Goodwill in Galveston, Texas. This one I titled New with Tags CBR Exclusive Selection Black One Shoulder Jumpsuit. And this one I had put in the bottom of my cart and forgot to look up sold comps. And when I got home, I even said in the video, oh, I'm not really sure about it, but I thought it would sell great. It also did not have a size tag, so I estimated on this one also, and it still sold. It sold for $29.50. My earnings were $19.37. I paid just $6.99 at the Goodwill in Galveston, Texas. It took 1.5 months to sell, and my profit was $12.38. So I'm really happy that I did end up picking that one up. Next one was the bird feeder that I found that day. This was the vintage CB & Son C Company tall glass jar bird feeder embossed. It sold for $37.58. My earnings were $18.90. I paid just $2.99 at that Goodwill in Galveston, Texas. It took 1 month and 2 days to sell, and my profit was $15.91. When I went to list the bird feeder, I noticed there was like a little crack at the very top, but it didn't look like it went all the way through. I just noted that on the listing, and I accepted just slightly lower than I had planned on because there was a little flaw. I didn't think it would really impact the use of it. So I was really happy with that one. Then I've sold several items from the Houston Goodwill bins haul that I had. This is the Mercedes-Benz fleece jacket, lady size medium, navy blue, full zip, logo charm. It sold for $31.04. My earnings were $17.81. I paid just $1.49 at the Houston bins. It took 29 days to sell, and my profit was $16.32. I think that's a great return on investment. Usually on items that I get from the Goodwill bins, if I make a $10 or more profit per item, I am really good with that. So these items from the Houston bins, I was really pleased with. The next one I titled New with Tags, Vero Moda Smocked Top Size European Small Blouse Shirt Organic Cotton, and I put birch black because that was on the tag. It sold for $25.28. My earnings were $14.77. I paid just 66 cents at the Goodwill bins in Houston. It took just 9 days to sell, and my profit was $14.11. Next one also came from the Houston haul. This was the Vibrant Miu Jean size 9/28 light wash button fly flare jeans, and I also put the actual measurements. They measured 28 by 33, and this was the pair that they had a spot on them, so I removed the tags, treated them with a little bit of OxyClean, put them through the wash. They came out perfectly. Just put that in the listing, and they still sold great. They sold for a gross amount of $40.95. My earnings are $25.27. I paid just $3.51 at the Houston bins. They took 1 month and 17 days to sell, and my profit was $21.76. Item was another item from the Houston bins, and when I had the haul, I was not sure how to pronounce it, and so a viewer, the Closet Scratcher, was so nice to tell me how to pronounce it, and she also told me that it is a Lane Bryant Intimates brand, and it is pronounced Casek. So thank you so much for telling me how to pronounce that. I titled the listing, Casek Bra 44D Modern Lace Covered, Unlined Full Coverage Underwire Beige. It sold for $25.80. My earnings were $14.97. It was so lightweight, it only cost 43 cents at the Houston bins. That's why I love picking up bras at the bins. They cost so little. It took just 27 days to sell, and my profit was $14.54. Next item came from my Galveston Goodwill haul, and while I was editing the video, it sold, so I put that it had sold, but it had not yet provided the number, so I thought I would do that now. It was the vintage Roberta, California 80s dress size 5'6", prom party tulle taffeta, and then I put Glam Rock in USA. It sold for $56.54. My earnings were $36.74. I paid just $7.99 at that Goodwill in Galveston. It took just 18 days to sell, and my profit was $28.75. And what I loved about this one was the lady had sent me an offer for $40 plus shipping, which was a little lower than I thought it could sell for, but I went ahead and took it. I thought that's still a great return on investment in a short amount of time. I was on vacation mode. This was when we were going to Europe. I messaged her and told her I'm on vacation mode. I won't be shipping shipping for X amount of days. I can't remember how many it was. Is that okay? And she told me yes. And she told me that her daughter had the lead in a high school play and she had just fallen in love with the dress and she's so excited. And she said she would not be surprised if she ended up wearing it to prom also. And I thought, oh, that's so neat. I love that. I love finding these dresses from like the 80s and listing them, and then someone that's in high school now wearing them and appreciating them and loving them. And so I was so glad that I accepted that offer. Next, I thought I would share a couple that were good sales that came just from my local Goodwill, so I could throw a couple others in. I found this dress and it was beautiful. It was brand new with tags. It had Dillard's tags on it and it showed the retail value was $288. The brand was Betsy and Adam. The dress was called the Rain dress. It was size 12, metallic long sleeve gown, navy, and then I put NWD for new with damage. I could not tell that it had been altered, but when I got home, I found the stock photos and I noticed on the dress that I had, they had cut the top layer, so it didn't go all the way to the ground, but I thought it still looked great. I had no idea that it had been cut. It still looked beautiful, so I thought this is still going to sell. My Goodwill now takes returns, so I could have returned it, but I had confidence that it would sell, and it did. It sold great. It sold for $69.11. My earnings were $43.68. I paid just $8.69 at my regular Goodwill. It took just 6 days to sell, and my profit was $34.99. So I'm glad I didn't return that. If there are flaws on things, if I think they are valuable enough, I go ahead and list them and just note that on the listing. Another item that I thought I would mention is a pot that I found. I tend to gravitate towards clothes, but I'm never disappointed when I go over to the hard goods and kitchenware. And normally if I just spend a few minutes looking through the pots and pans, I can find something that will have a great return. So easy to list, so easy to ship. This was a permanent 5-quart stock pan with lid, stainless steel, Solar Sturgis Manufacturing Division. It even had a flaw. The lid, the plastic piece around the handle was broken off partially, so I just put that in the listing. It sold for $53.51. My earnings were $32.25. I paid just $4.99 at my regular Goodwill. My profit was $27.26. So I was really glad that I took a couple minutes that day to look through the pots and pans. The next item was a golf skirt. I've said before in lots of videos, I love selling anything golf related. It just seems to sell well. I was looking through the skirts at Goodwill and I came across 3 that looked pretty similar. They were by Cutter and Buck. Couldn't find a lot of sole comps on them, but I think that's because I was picking them up in winter months. So 90-day comps are not going to show a lot of golf skirts. So I thought I'm going to pick these up anyway. They're only $4.99. They're really nice. They're all very similar. So it's going to be super easy to list. And all 3 of them sold very quickly for a great profit. The first one was a new with tags, Cutter and Buck, Annika Women's Medium Golf Skirt Black. It sold for $43.46. My earnings were $27.29. I paid just $4.99 at my local Goodwill. It took 3 days to sell, and my profit on that one was $22.30. The lady received it in the mail. She immediately purchased a second one, and then the third one sold to someone else right away. So all 3 of these sold within like 10 days for a great profit. I won't go over each of them individually since they were so similar, but my total sales on all 3 skirts was $116.26. I received back $70.84. My cost of goods for all 3 combined was $14.97, and my total profit was $55.87. So I was very happy with that sale. Okay, so that is everything that I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and everybody have a great day. Bye.